Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge, where I sit with some of the theater's best and brightest, just chatting it up. Broadway's favorite obsession, the web series Submissions Only, is returning for its eagerly awaited third season. It will run exclusively here at BroadwayWorld beginning on March 3rd, and I'm here with the show's two creators, Kate Wetherhead and Andrew Keenan-Bolger. Welcome.
Thanks for having us, Richard.
How excited are you to be kicking off season 3?
I can't believe it.
Very excited. Yes, it's been a while, and we thank everyone for their patience. We know we've made you wait a long time, but we could not be happier about the final product and getting to finally share it with everyone.
So it's like you've stepped up this year. It's like HD. Tell me.
It is, yeah. We shot it all in HD, and now BroadwayWorld has upped their capabilities too, so people are going to get to see our show for the first time in true HD, which is so exciting. It's finally what is on the computer screen is what has sort of been floating around in our heads for the past 3 years.
So what can you tell us about this season?
Well, you'll get to see all of your favorite, series regulars. The crew is back, with the exception of just a few absences, but we have some new cast members coming in that are just as fabulous and really exciting. And then story-wise, you'll still see auditions, you'll still see a lot of antics in rehearsal rooms and in hallways, but the stories that affect the characters get a little bit deeper this time. We're asking you to take more of an emotional journey this season, and we're getting a little bit more serious about some of our themes.
Yeah.
It's always that thing too, in the third season of a show, our characters have been living as these characters since we started in 2010, and now getting to sort of pair people up against each other and see what kind of natural things emerge has been really cool. And I think it's going to be a little bit of a departure from always just kind of clowning around, and you get to see people have some real moments and real human moments that we've been living that I don't think have been depicted necessarily in a web series.
You have a huge supporter this season with producer Kevin McCollum. How did Kevin get involved?
Kevin came on board to really help us fully realize the show. Sort of what Andrew was saying earlier, getting it to that place that we had always dreamed of it being. Getting, with his help and his encouragement, we were able to make the show look and sound and feel the way we dreamt about it.
It's also, I think with Kevin McCollum, if you just look at his track record, he's been a producer who has taken a lot of big risk on people who are undeveloped but have strong, unique voices. If you look at his track record, it's so many emerging artists, and as soon as we were connected with him, we were like, this is the perfect fit. And he has taken people who the masses shouldn't necessarily believe in, but have really gotten to showcase their work in a much bigger platform, which I think is cool, and we feel lucky to be a part of that team.
It's exciting when someone who has that kind of influence is passionate about undiscovered talent. I mean, that is such a gift for people like us who, we were known in a certain way, seen in a certain light, and then you try and do something different, and to then have someone like Kevin come in and recognize that and appreciate it is just the greatest compliment we could have done.
Who are some of the great guest stars you have this season?
Let's go back and forth. You say one, I'll say one, then you... Okay.
All right. I'll start out with the one who has just been my dream guest star from the very beginning. Audrey McDonald.
Kelly O'Hara.
Judith Light.
Will Swenson.
Bobby Cannavale.
Joel Grey.
Oh God, there's so many.
Yeah, keep going.
Keep going.
Okay.
Joanna Gleason.
Malcolm Getz.
Oh yeah. Oh, Chris Sarandon, Prince Humperdinck from The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Linda Lavin. Richard Easton. What else? Harriet Harris.
Hunter Foster.
Laura Osnes.
It's like the creme de la creme of Broadway.
It's pretty ridiculous. When I was cutting our trailer, I was like, oh my God, we got all these people?
Yeah.
Because it's on a day-to-day thing. You work with one really cool person a day, but cutting it all together.
Yeah, it's pretty
got some
remarkable.
good photos.
Brian Darcy James.
Oh my God, yes. He is the first face of our...
the first face.
How was the premiere kicking off?
Okay, so this is how we're premiering the first episode of season 3. On March 3rd at 9 p.m., you can click on a link that will be provided by BroadwayWorld.com and watch the first episode. And you can click on this link at any point between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m.
It's our opening night.
Yes, it's like on opening night, and we're going to be live tweeting.
Our cast is going to be live tweeting.
Cast is going to be live tweeting all your favorites, and we will be doing that from 9 to 10. Now, if you click on the link at 9:59, you'll still be able to watch the full episode. If you click on the link at 10:01, you're going to have to wait until the next morning at 10 a.m., at which point it is on demand. You can click on the link at any time and watch at your leisure. And the next episode will air 2 weeks later.
Take me back to the beginning of how the idea came about for you both to do submissions only.
Kate and I were doing a little show called It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman in Dallas at the Dallas Theater Center, and we had sort of teamed up to do some like backstage videos, and I just immediately saw that she had a creative mind, and she was good at coming up with things really quickly that were really funny to make the videos more than just like, and this is our call board, and this is our dressing room.
Yes, and my husband, Jeff Croyder, Tony Award-winning lighting designer.
And producer of Submissions Only.
And supervising producer of Submissions Only, was our lighting designer for the show. And he totally clocked that Andrew and I were not only getting along socially, but that there was perhaps a potential for collaboration. And he and I were having a conversation about, like, what I was going to do when I got back to New York, because, like so many people, I didn't have that next job lined up. And he said, I'll tell you one thing, you need to stay in touch with Andrew because he likes you and he knows how to get bleep out there. Yeah. And then he said, thank you, Jeff Croyder, he said, you guys should do a web series together, which is so weird because we didn't watch web series, I didn't watch them, we'd never really talked about them. It was not something that had any sort of lead up to it. He just kind of said it, but it was one of those things where you hear it and you go, yeah, that's actually a good idea. So I said it to Andrew the next day, and you said something like,
I said, that's crazy. Yeah, I was honestly thinking the same thing, that we have to do a web series when we go back to New York.
So then you said, and maybe I'm wrong, but then you said, well, do you have any ideas? And I said, no. And then
like, we're off to a great start. Me neither.
But then I said, okay, wait, yes, I do have something. And I remember saying, I feel like Will and Grace did a great job of bringing our attention to the straight girl, gay guy friendship, that relationship. And they really got the conversation going. But their relationship is not exactly representative of my friendships with my gay friends here in New York. And so I'd be interested in exploring that. Okay, so how do we do that? Where do we put that? We can't put that in a police precinct because we don't have any money and we don't
can't
have
be a
any
hospital
resources.
drama.
Right.
There's
We're not
gurneys and
astronauts.
Though we could. That might be campy.
That'll be next. Just dishing about our boyfriends in space. And so it very naturally led to, we can shoot it in our apartments and in rehearsal studios. What happens there? Rehearsals, which again, we couldn't really imagine making a show about a show because at some point it's going to wind up in a theater. We can't get into a theater. So we thought, what only happens in those rooms? Auditions, there. Casting director, reader, go. And then we just spent the rest of, we were on our way to a matinee.
Yeah.
We kept finding each other in the wings, being like, maybe her agent is his ex-boyfriend.
Maybe they have an assistant who's really like vacuous and flaky and is really funny.
And she has like a fabulous roommate. Things like that. And then we started writing it the next day.
Yeah.
The pilot, we started writing it the next day.
And casting right away, did you go after just talk to your friends?
It was a combination of who could play this person and then trolling Facebook.
Yeah, we literally cast it via Facebook. We would go, who are our mutual friends? And go down the list and be like, oh, she's so funny, I've always wanted to work with her. Or, oh, I know you did Legally Blonde with this person. What if they read that part? I don't know this person, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Oh, and actually, for example, Annalee Ashford, we did a table read, which is like one of 4 that we've ever done, just to see if we were, had lost our minds or if maybe we had something with potential. And I remember we asked Annalee to read Gail, and then we're like, oh, and will you just read this other part of this girl who comes in and freaks out when she runs into someone? And obviously. Nailed that. So then we went back, we were like, all right, let's keep her in that track.
This might need to be a motif
and this
throughout
is a
the show.
motif, like we're gonna have to bring her back again and again and again. And then we thought of Lindsay for Gail.
Mm-hmm.
Which now I'm like, could you imagine,
Could we imagine
a more
yeah.
perfect Gail?
Dry as a bone.
Yeah.
And guest stars. Okay, first season.
Mm-hmm.
You had incredible guest stars then too.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you went about getting them. Who was the first one you went after, and how did you do it?
Katie Huffman.
Yeah.
I'd done a nymph show with Katie. Michael Rupert, I did Legally Blonde with. And then Ann Nathan, who came on board to play director Linda Avery, said, I bet Chenoweth would do this, because they're pals. And we said,
Great.
we leave it
If
to
you
you.
want to make that introduction?
Yeah, you want to go sniff around? We will take her. We will make sure that she's in and out, that we don't waste her time,
Yeah.
you know? And so that was the first, like, wow. And also I think the first that really got people's attention.
Yeah.
I think people were
I think she had,
confused.
just won an Emmy too. Yeah.
What? Why is she on your show? And then my brother-in-law, Mike, is Cheetah Rivera's music director. Michael Kreuter, Yellow
The
Samba.
Robert Croydon.
Yes. Also our sound engineer
yes.
on the show.
Yeah. And he said, much like Anne had said, I bet I could get Cheetah to do this. So that's
Yeah.
sort of
At first
how
it was
it
truly
evolved.
it was favors and like one person knew one person. Since we've had the luxury of working with an actual casting director, so Kate and I can approach people who we're just huge fans of, who we have no contact to, and my mind has been blown by how many people in our community, even sometimes without having even watched our show, will agree to do.
We forgot one. Kathleen Chalfant.
Oh yeah, she's in our new season
That
too.
blew my mind. When Mary was like, what about Kathleen Chalfant? I was like, good luck, sure. And then she was like, Kathleen is a yes. What?
So take me back to that first day. Okay, Kristen Chenoweth arrives on the set. Then Cheetah Rivera arrives on the set. What are those days like for you? As you know, you're in this business too. You're creating this web series, but you're also, you're fans too at the same time. So what were those days like?
It's putting a lid on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, to make it... I mean, there have been times when... I remember when Joanna Gleason was coming in. Both of us are so obsessed with Into the Woods, and we're writing a book about Into the Woods right now, where that's sort of the backdrop. We were like, under no circumstance do we throw out any quotes from The Baker's Wife. Like,
Just keep it
please
together.
do not...
Keep it together.
Don't say the word festival at any point. It will be bad news.
Yeah.
Nothing slipped?
No?
No, it was
You're
like,
good, both of you.
whatever, Joanna, whatever your name is.
Not even during lunch?
We
Eating a
get
bagel?
them in and out. Here's
in
the
and
thing
out.
with our
Really?
guest
Okay.
stars is because we can't pay them.
Yeah.
A lot of money. We pay them a
Yeah,
little.
we pay them, but we say, here's what we can offer. We can offer you, like, you'll be out in an hour and 15 minutes.
Amazing.
And you'll
That's your
probably laugh a few times, too.
Right, and
'cause-
you'll have a good time. We'll make it really easy for you.
Yeah.
And generally they do. They have
They have a good time.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Yeah, and what's incredible is they're so prepared. Like,
Yeah, they're more prepared than our series regulars.
They're like completely off book. We worked with Judith Light as our like end of the,
Breathtaking.
and we gave her a crazy scene that was like almost 10 pages, and it was basically a monologue.
Yeah.
And she came in totally word perfect and infused all of her own stuff, brought props. We were like,
Choices.
and that's why you have 2 toadies
Yeah,
like
that's
in,
right.
in
That's
a
why you
row.
have multiple tournaments. You're the real deal.
Crazy happenings, filming.
Mhm.
Because you start out like season 1 or whatever, you're like, oh, we're going to put a show on now.
Yeah.
And now we're going to start shooting this whole thing and see what we have. Crazy happenings during filming? Any funny stories?
We've grown in production so quickly without really necessarily always time for us to learn everything about production. And Kate and I wear a lot of hats on set. Now we have more people who are more skilled at certain jobs, but there's been some technical mishaps. Like, for instance, we had 2 of our light fixtures would like blow bulbs like once every 2 hours. So we were going through like a bag of bulbs a day. Then we found out later from like one person who actually knew what they were doing. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're using the wrong like extension cord." So things like this that normal people would know, but
Yeah.
in the heat of the moment, you're like, what are we doing wrong?
There's nothing like an exploding light bulb to lower your blood pressure because it's just an already stressful situation punctuated by like
In the middle of a scene.
yeah.
Yeah. But the good thing is that I think had we, from the beginning, hired a crew of people who knew what they were doing, I think Kate and I would have not less of a respect for all the jobs, but like just a general knowledge of what is going on in your set, and having a part of every single person knowing a little bit about all of their jobs makes it so much easier for us to really run a set quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, we're more of a jack of all trades, master of none at this point. Like, we know a little bit about a lot of things. But now, it helps with accountability. Now we can ask the right questions because we know something. But yes, things break. There's just a lot of like breakage. We've had a lot of, again, because we're guerrilla type filmmakers, we're in locations where there are noise issues that we have no control
Zumba
over.
classes going on next to us during an intimate scene.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like saying a really important line, waiting to finish it because there's something going on.
There's one day when we were working with Will Swenson where they were doing tuba auditions for something. And so it was giving a very creepy underscoring to everything he was doing, just like boom, 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 boom,
So I want to go back to the beginning for both of you. Where did your love for performing begin?
Well, I grew up with two older sisters who were both performing, so I had been told that I sat through the entire show of Showboat when I was 6 months old, that Celia was playing like young Kim in, and I don't remember honestly the first show I ever saw. It was like such a part of my growing up that. And naturally, I wanted to be like Celia and Maggie. They were like my cool older sisters, and so I immediately, as soon as I could really start talking without a speech impediment, was doing theater right alongside with them.
I grew up in Burlington, Vermont. I was an only child. I saw Peter Pan with Sandy Duncan in Boston, but was too young, I think, to really understand what I was seeing. Like the lines between real and imaginary were still a little blurry. So it wasn't until I was 6 when I saw West Side Story, a community theater production of West Side Story, that I understood that the people on stage were pretending to be these characters, and I lost my mind. I remember I was sitting on the aisle, and it just took everything in my little body not to run up on the stage and start dancing with them.
Yeah.
Odd, because there's not really a role in it for me.
What are you talking about?
For a redhead.
Yeah.
Chino?
Yeah, Chino, exactly.
But nevertheless, that was it, and I mean, that was it. It wasn't like, and then I eased into it. It was like, first order of business, do that all the time.
Okay, since the show opens with an audition that mostly crashes and burns, worst audition experience for either of you? Do you have one?
Oh, I have a horrible one. I auditioned for the national tour of High School Musical, and I flew in late. I missed the beginning of the audition, and I did not know that it was a dance combination. I thought I was going in to sing a song, and so I'm in jeans and a little sweater vest, and they're like, "Oh, it started. They've been rehearsing for an hour. They're about to do the groups. Just try to catch up. We'll put you in the last group." It was a basketball number, and I was like, I can't. There's one thing I'm worse at than dancing. It's playing basketball. So I went in the final group, and I was like, I just don't know this dance. So I took the basketball and I put it under my shirt and pretended to be a pregnant woman and just improv'd for about a minute of being a pregnant lady. And Jeff Calhoun was in the room for that. He was probably like, oh no. To the point where when I remember auditioning for Newsies, they were like, you need to go in. I know you've done all the readings. You need to go in to get approved by Jeff, because I have a feeling he probably thought I was a crazy person. But and then he still cast me.
Did that connection happen? Did he remember you from that audition?
I can't imagine that he would have been able to forget that, because the whole audition stopped and everyone was like, oh God. And I will still run into people who were like, I was at that audition with you. That was a New York moment.
It's good to have one of those.
Yeah.
Everybody has them.
It is.
Everybody
yeah.
has them.
It's true.
For you?
It was unconventional because your sister was in Seattle, I believe. And James Lapine had come on board to direct Spelling Bee, and he had requested the opportunity to do like a 29-hour reading, or not even, just like a very low-key kind of week-long workshop of the show, so he could start to like get his hands dirty with it. And so they needed someone to play Olive. And I was friendly with Vadim Feichner, who was the MD, and I knew Bill Finn, and they recommended that James see me for that. And the phone call went something like, James would like to meet you, he might have you sing something, but just go to his office on 44th Street or 45th, and you'll meet him. And I don't know what was wrong with me. This is a cautionary tale. Be prepared always. I wasn't. I was like, maybe I'll sing something. I don't know, I'm just gonna meet him, whatever. And I went so casually, and then of course was led into this very opulent room with a grand piano and like a big oak table and a fireplace. It was huge.
Oh my God.
And it was just James and Chris Burney from Second Stage, and James asked me a couple questions, and then he had me sing, and instantly I was like, I've made a terrible mistake. I am so ill prepared for this. Sang terribly. He didn't like either of my songs. And then he asked me to read this line from the show where a key word is word. Like the punchline of the line is like something, the whole word is silent. Well, I was so nervous that I said world. I said blah, 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 and the whole world is silent. And in my head I'm like, I don't understand what this line means, but whatever. And then he was like, do it again. And I did it again. I said world twice. Killed the joke. Didn't understand what I was saying. And then got that face of like, all right, well, thank you. And so, cut to the next day. Miracle of miracles, they still ask me to come to this reading to do it. And I think Vadim had been like, trust me, she's better than that. She probably just had a meltdown, and we don't have time, so just let her do it. So I went, and then I was like, okay, now it's really time to prove myself, because I completely messed up. And the last day of the reading, and by that point James had sort of warmed up to me, and I asked him a question about something, and he answered the question. He said, and again, thanks so much for doing this. It's been really great. And I gotta say, you're so much better than your audition. And I laughed, and I was like, I know, and he said, no, really.
Oh, God.
You gotta work on that.
You two are collaborating on a children's book. What can you tell me?
We're really excited. We just finished our first book, and it's going to be a part of a 3-book series that we are writing for Penguin Publishing. It's going to be like a middle grade book for kids in middle school and
8 to 11?
8 to 11 and older people who want to read about it. But it's all about basically if 12-year-old Andrew had met 12-year-old Kate. In present day. A kid who had worked on Broadway, was from the Upper West Side, and had to move with his family to Ohio.
We said it in Ohio.
Oh, great.
And and the budding friendship that they have, and they're both really obsessed with theater. And
the conceit of the book is that Andrew writes the chapters from the boys' perspective, and I write the chapters from the girls' perspective, and we alternate back and forth telling the same story chronologically.
What a great idea. Is it illustrated at all?
I don't think so. I mean, this is like it's like a chapter book, so there will be cover art, but I think, as far as we know, that's the extent of the illustration.
Okay.
Yeah.
When will it come out?
January 2015 is what we've been told.
Okay.
So put it
Save
on your calendars.
Does it have a title?
It does. Well,
it's either Jack and Louisa, Act 1,
or Louisa and Jack, Act 1.
Do you have a favorite episode for each season?
My favorite episode is definitely one that has not aired yet. It's episode 6 of our new season, and we had the awesome fortune of getting to film the majority of the episode in 54 Below, where like a lot of the action happens in there, and that space is so beautiful, and it's lit by actual Broadway lighting designers and designed by Broadway set designers, so it's so incredibly cinematic, and nothing has really been shot there to my knowledge other than stuff on the stage, but all the bar work is so gorgeous.
So lush.
Yeah, and the things that happen in that episode are really good, and it was some of the best acting I've ever seen.
I have a soft spot for episode 5 in season 1 because of that Iron Dog scene. which is like
Yeah.
it's so crazy. And season 2, I really like our finale. And then this season, boy, yeah, maybe 6. Maybe 6, yeah.
Episode 4 is really good too. We do one that's all about living in New York, and so it has like a whole lot of exterior stuff. We're in all the different neighborhoods. We're on location in all these great New York staples.
What are you each the proudest of with working on Submissions Only?
This is so cheesy. I'm proudest of us. That we made this thing together, and we don't want to kill each other. Like quite the opposite.
It's true.
Like I'm in love with him.
I know. Yeah, I will invite her to anything. We don't even have to be working. It's an interesting thing that we had been talking about, that we had sort of met under circumstances where we were sort of immediately thrust into a world of being collaborators almost before we got to even really know each other, and we've really understood our collaboration, and I think like the compromise and the just taking cues from each other and being like helpful hint takers has been so much a part of our collaboration that there's like really nothing is ever taken personal. And now the great luxury is that we've become such great friends that we get to have both.
Well, thank you so much for sitting with me today.
Thank you,
Thanks for
Richard.
having us.
And everyone, please tune in to season 3, which runs exclusively here at Broadway World, beginning on March 3rd.
What's wrong with her?
Even though Aaron Miller kissed Penny,
3 weeks ago, making it seem like he was pretty done with Serena.
he hasn't broken up with her yet.
You still like that guy?
Yes, where have you been?
Penny, the A.
Right, I've been practicing.
What, the flutophone?
It's not every day a big boat of fun comes along and offers you a job. I mean, unless it's the Broadway revival of Titanic.
I was in the biggest flop of the season.
Because your director, Vincent Savio, is the biggest con artist of the American theater.
I think I said to him, you have to let me buy you a drink before you become a huge star.
Oh my god, guys love it when girls make the first move.
Not always.
I'm just a vagabond, vagabond. I'm just a vagabond. I don't know where I belong.
My worst nightmare just happened. That was it.
Tim and I are exploring the possibility of becoming lovers.
Your words?
You and Tim really are cut from the same cloth.
No, it's more complicated than that.
Gail, this is not a game.
Actually, Tim, it is a game, and I'm trying to help you win it.
Maybe Aaron's just ready for a change?
I don't know. You don't know him like I do.
Penny.
Oh my god, don't kiss me. That is true.
I'm sure you weren't expecting this because I sure as hell wasn't.
You made your bed.
No, time to go lie in it.
But I belong in this world. I belong in this world.